Ladies and gentlemen, non-binary pals, I'd like to welcome my special guest this evening, Randy Rude, the owner of CSW, one of my good friends that I've gotten to know here over the past year. I'd like to thank you first most for coming on here and joining here, spending some time with me this evening.
Hey, thanks, brother. Glad to be on the show, man. Happy to see you kicking some ass on this thing, bro.
Hell yeah, man. I appreciate that. I put a lot of effort into it. It's something that, I want to see go far. I want to see, who knows what, sky's the limit. But as far as, today we're here to talk about CSW up there in the corner. One of the companies I do some work for, a little bit of production. But man, you put a lot of effort into this company, something that's been around the Springs area for quite a while.
Yeah.
How did you get started with CSW and why? Where was the passion for wrestling?
Well, wrestling's been part of my life like forever. As far back as I remember, my grandpa, my dad, they took me to live wrestling events down in Pueblo all the time. My brothers and I grew up watching it. It's always been there. My four sons are all into wrestling. It's the way it goes.
Yeah.
But honestly, it started with me getting sober. I quit drinking 6 years ago.
Okay.
And
congratulations on that. That's
Thank you.
Awesome.
I'm pretty proud of that one. That's one of the things I'm probably most proud of. But anyway, so I was just sitting at home because my life had completely changed at that moment, and it was my wife that was trying to find something for me to do that would, give me something to be excited about again. And she bought tickets to CSW. And we went to the show, and obviously I liked what I saw. I fell in love with it instantly.
Yeah.
There was a couple of people I knew that were wrestlers, and they were just like, "What? Why aren't you part of this? You should be doing wrestling." And honestly, brother, at that moment I started by doing exactly what you're doing right here. I had a podcast called The Rude Awakening, hosted by Randy Rude.
Really?
Yeah,
that's super cool.
Proof that don't ever think that first step is any kind of a certain size, because you never know where it's going to take you. Because it just built up. I got more involved. I got more wrapped into things. Then next thing you know, I got asked to book a show. And it was the first Rudapalooza.
Okay.
Was the first show I ever booked. And it was a huge hit. It was crazy. It was such a wild show because it was in a biker bar. And God, it was out of control. It was great.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So, and then just things kept progressing. Next thing you know, I'm running CSW, and eventually the previous owner offered to sell it to us. And that was 3 years ago. So
that's crazy to think that you started in a position similar to me, and now you're pretty much running the Springs, man. It's crazy when I get down to those shows at Sunshine Studios. It's always a rowdy crowd. It's always packed. There's always heads in those seats. It's wonderful to see. But it's crazy, that come up right there, man. It's like, were you a part of things while Chris was still the owner?
Unfortunately, I wasn't. I never got the chance to meet Chris, and it breaks my heart. I wish I could have. I got so much love for him. We've got memorials for him on the CSW championship belt. That'll be there forever. He's the founder of CSW. I would not be me if it wasn't for Chris. So it's such an odd thing for me to be that grateful for someone I never got a chance to meet, and we get that a lot in wrestling,
We do.
the wrestling world right now, as a matter of fact, we're all hurting. We're
Yep.
all hurting. Uh, I was over in New Orleans when I saw the news, and man, losing Bray was a tough one.
Yes, it was.
But it goes to show, in this business, there's a lot of ups and downs. There's a lot of egos. Mine's one of them. I'll be the first to admit it.
Yeah.
But you got to be careful because you never know when you're going to wake up the next day and a brother's gone, a sister's gone. You gotta love, and that's one of the things that I try my hardest to do is show love.
Same.
You're backstage at the shows. It's a lot of hugging. Okay, we might all be singing some Backstreet Boys together. I mean, I try my hardest, and I'm not a perfect man by any means whatsoever. I know, okay, but I try my hardest to make the most comfortable, inviting environment I can.
I do. I try my hardest to do something similar.
Yeah.
Any locker room that I approach or I get the honor of joining, I try to bring that little bit of light. Because there's a lot of in wrestling. It seems like we're all when we get in that locker room, it's kind of like an uplifting moment, and then for a lot of us, it's hard to walk away from the locker room. You leave that locker room space, you leave that friendship, that bit, because it's everyone. You're surrounded by your friends.
Oh yeah.
Then you get back and you're like, oh damn.
You wake up Monday morning, go to the shoot job, and reality hits because it does the same thing for me every Monday.
Yeah.
And that's one thing a lot of people don't like. They don't think about with me is I still work a 40-hour work week.
Yeah.
I do a ton of other stuff, and manage CSW. I love entertaining. Mm-hmm. When it comes down to it, that is my favorite thing in this world is just to entertain, to put some smiles on faces. You are a very important part of my locker room, so don't, short yourself now there, brother.
I appreciate that, man.
You help us out on the production side like no other. Huge shout out to you for that. And I mean, like you said, you bring positivity back there. Like you're sitting there, you're smiling, every time I'm coming by you, it's always a hug, a handshake, a smile, even when we're stressed out, we take a deep breath and go, okay, where are we at? And we're right back on it, So yeah, you are definitely an important part of that whole system there at CSW.
Yeah, I work really hard to be proficient at what I do, at least, and then, alongside that, I bring a good attitude. I try my best to, be good at what I do. But boy, let's dive into a little bit of what's coming up here for CSW. I know that we're going to have a tribute show coming up. It's one of the very special shows going on.
Absolutely.
Not just for one individual, it's for two people. We got TC, and then we also have Eddie Havens.
Yes.
Go ahead and tell us about how that show started and what that's like, being able to honor two people that obviously you loved.
Well, yeah. I mean, every show has its own reason why it's important.
Yes.
We do so many of them throughout the year that are just like have these super vital things. This one is important to me on a personal, spiritual level.
Yeah.
It's the TC tribute for starters. That's the name of the show. I promised my own brother, Troy Chacon, also known as TC, 16 years ago. No, dang it. I'm sorry. 18 years ago on his deathbed when I was sitting in his hospital room with him watching WrestleMania 20, I promised him one day there was going to be a wrestling event dedicated to him. I was going to do it. I didn't know how, but it was going to happen. And when I got ownership at CSW, it was one of the first things I did. I said, well, even if I only do it once, I want to be able to say I did it. I want to just have that moment. And then I met Eddie Havens. He was at one of the first events I ever promoted. And when I met him, he was already terminal with cancer. Didn't have a lot of time left, but he wanted to have some fun. And I did everything I could to make sure that that was the best show that he had ever seen. We put him in the front row. Our brother, Chad Kalina, he was there with me in the ring when Eddie, who had been in a wheelchair, he grabbed the rope and he stood up while the crowd was chanting his name.
Let's go.
It was such a powerful, emotional night. It made me and a lot of people realize that you can do a lot more than just body slams and suplexes with professional wrestling. You can touch hearts. You can change lives. You can make people happy. You can make people sad. You can, unfortunately, Eddie passed away like 10 days after that event. And his family, Ilanka and Debbie, and all of his children, they became just as important to me as Eddie was that night. I had the humble honor to be able to speak at his funeral, and that next September, I started the Eddie Havens Memorial Match. And we do it every September. This will be the 5th annual Eddie Havens Memorial Match coming up.
That's awesome.
They are some of the most epic matches in CSW history. Our Colorado legend, Hard Knocks Jimbo Lucas, has been involved in every single one of them.
Let's go.
And he came out
real quick. Was Jimbo and Eddie, were they really close as well?
They were very close. That's why I always give Jimbo the honor of wrestling in the Eddie Havens Memorial Match.
Yeah.
He was a brother to both of us. Jimbo was the one who introduced me to Eddie and Debbie and Ilanka, and all their family. And, so there's a lot of bond right there. And we've had emotional moments in the ring. Every Eddie Havens Memorial Match is an emotional moment. There's a lot of hugging, a lot of crying, a lot of cheering. It's just a great moment to realize, what we get to do. That's the best way to describe that match. And this year is going to be the first ever rematch in Eddie Havens Memorial history.
Okay.
Jimbo Lucas came out at the last show, announced he's coming back. He's been out of the ring for quite a while now.
Yes.
And he's returning for the Eddie Havens Memorial Match, and he's challenged Jack Dillon for the 719 championship. So this will also be the first ever title match for the Eddie Havens Memorial Match.
That's cool. That's going to be a super good match. First off, 2 really great competitors right there. I mean, I love both of their work. So,
they fought each other. Awesome. They fought in the Eddie Havens Memorial Match a couple years ago. What a moment that was, because not only was it the Eddie Havens Memorial Match, it was the return of Jack Dillon from deployment. No one knew he was back. He came out and it was the most massive eruption of cheers when he came out. And then they put on one of the best matches I've ever seen. So I guarantee on September 23rd, it's going to be unlike any other match out there. because not only are they fighting for Eddie, not only is this the first ever rematch for the Eddie Havens Memorial, but this is also for that 719 championship.
Yeah.
So it doesn't get much better than that right there.
Which that belt holds a lot of prestige too, like it's something that's been, it has some history to it.
Absolutely.
But you mentioned doing the Eddie Havens and the TC tribute, promising them that someday you'd do a show for them. I have a very similar story. Last January, Primos did the Frank's Winter Beach Party, and that's dedicated to my father who passed away from suicide. But I'd always told him that I'd make it in somewhere into wrestling. I'd always promised him, I was like, I'll be in it, here I am now. And I was able to book a show for him. So I have that exact, that feeling. I know where you're coming from with that. It's really cool.
It's to be able to fulfill that for someone you love.
Yeah.
It's just one of the greatest things in the world, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's, I don't, there's not even really a word that describes the feeling, it overcomes you,
Boy.
And here we are, we're on the 4th annual TC tribute, the 5th annual Eddie Havens Memorial match. You guarantee it's going to be one hell of a show. The whole event.
That's going to be a fun one. It'll definitely be. If you haven't got your tickets yet, be sure to grab some. They're easily available, but be sure to get them before they sell out, because CSW sells out fast.
Yes, we do.
Now is where I suggest. Where do you? If you're going to send anybody get tickets, where would they go?
We are on Eventbrite, so you can always go on there. Just look up Colorado Springs Wrestling. Go on our Facebook page. We have links all over it, and you can also message us directly on the Facebook page if you want to purchase your tickets directly through us.
Cool, that's cool. Will I be seeing you at Slave to the Death match here?
Slave to the Death match.
Yeah, are you gonna you coming on down? Are you gonna be bringing that butt to the show this year?
I don't know. I've been contemplating showing up. I mean, I've been to a couple of them.
Yeah.
I mean, holy crap.
Mm-hmm. It's a wild ride, isn't it?
Oh God, a few years ago, I mean, I was picking glass out of places for a while, and I was just in the crowd. So
yeah.
That splash zone is real.
Boy,
but
it gets crazy down there.
I got so much love for Primo, so much respect for everyone there that works so hard, and this event is one of the biggest events in Colorado history, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I agree.
It's gonna be an amazing event. Be safe, my brothers, but get bloody.
Yeah, 14 years of violence is quite a long time to be running an annual show.
It's awesome.
And then the longevity there, it's hard to keep a longevity like that, keep interest. But boy, does Joe McDougal find those special matchups, like this year we got Mickey Knuckles coming in. We got special attraction, Alex Colon. It's going to be fun. It should be a blast, man.
Yeah. Joe is, as far as I'm concerned, one of the best in this business. At just about any level you put him at. I have no problem saying that whatsoever. I love the guy. He's a great dude. Works his ass off. And always has 14 years plus. Just, how can you not love and respect somebody that works that hard? So,
and they give their all to Colorado, like they really help out like everywhere,
CSW wouldn't be a fraction of what it was if it wasn't for him and all of his crew. The longest reigning CSW women's champion, Tyra Resame. I will always have nothing but love and respect for her. She defended that title almost every single month for a year straight. I think there was one match she was in a tag team match, and that's it.
And then I think she still ended up wrestling a singles match that same evening, right?
I do believe, or no, she was in the Rumble.
Yeah, she was in
I'd
the
have to look
Rumble.
at,
Yeah, okay.
she has
Yeah.
wrestled so many matches for us, and like that's why I say like that's one of the hardest fighting champions in CSW history.
Oh, totally, man.
So, and I mean, all the family that's come from the Primos area, uh, I got nothing but love for all of them. Like, even ones that maybe if I don't talk to them anymore, I still got nothing but love for them.
Yeah.
I still see that they're flourishing and doing good, and it makes my heart feel good.
Oh yeah.
I I just I want to see everyone just succeed now, and Joe does too. That's why
Same.
him and I can see eye to eye on a lot of things.
Yeah, you guys seem to have a pretty good relationship. I've seen some of your interactions in the back, and it's always really jovial, and it's more friendly than anything. So it's pretty
Yeah.
cool to see that. How did you find the combination of Big Guns Justin Andrews and Chad Killer Kalina? Where did you find like that commentary duo? How did you put that together, man?
Man, magic just happens. Okay.
Yeah, it
I
does.
wish I could be like, oh, I knew it was good. Like I thought of this great idea.
Yeah.
Um, if I'm not mistaken, they came to me with an idea to do commentary together. I could have said it. I don't, but I'm almost certain that they actually like it was a collaboration almost like, but god dang, was it not a perfect duo?
Boy.
It just magic instantly. I love them up there doing their commentating. They flow so well together.
Yeah, they're a fun duo. I appreciate what they bring. I've
Yeah.
had the opportunity to do some commentary with Guns, and I haven't had the chance to do any commentary with Kalina. But they seem to have a really good working relationship up there. And man,
Oh, yeah.
Chad gets into it, doesn't he? He gets so into it. It's great. I love watching.
But that's the thing I love about Chad. He does that with everything in life.
Yes.
He loves to be excited. And it's addicting, like it's contagious when you're around him. I've spent a lot of time with Chad, and he's just naturally a positive guy.
Yeah.
So, and you hear it in his commentating. Yeah. And Guns' ridiculous knowledge of professional wrestling.
Yeah.
Not just of the moves, but the history. The man studies every bit of professional wrestling. So you put those two amazing personas and just combine them, and you've got a perfect commentating flow right there.
Yeah, it's fun, man. It's really fun. And then the cool thing about CSW is that's not the only commentary crew that you got down there too. You also got the Springs Indie Action crew, which help out quite a bit. They do a lot of filming for us. And then they have their own little podcast, which they do that gets a lot of views, and they're out there killing the game as well. Like, how did they approach you, and how did they get involved with CSW?
So, little history fact here: the very first guest ever on the Rude Awakening was the guys of Springs Into Action. They were the first.
Cool.
They were the first guests I ever had on my show. And we just started working together. At the time it was two different podcasts, and I was like, well, let's help each other out. Let's work together. And once I got CSW, I invited them in. I was like, guys, come in. And they've been amazing sponsors of ours for years now. They support CSW 150%. They've become part of us.
Totally.
That to a point where the fans wouldn't know what to think if that Springs Into Action table wasn't sitting up there on that stage.
Completely true. I mean, I believe that they have their own title belt, even, don't they?
They do. It's for the Red Rock Rumble, our event in April. Because they're the main sponsor of that event every year. And to honor it, they created a commemorative title for the Red Rock champ, whoever wins the Red Rock Rumble match, which was Pandemonium this year.
Yes, it was.
Who went on to fight Tyra in the main event of Headlocks for Hospice, which
another huge event that you guys hold down.
Huge event. Thanks to that event, we've raised over $35,000 for hospice care in the last 4 years. Okay,
it's amazing.
Every dollar that has gone to nonprofit hospice. So
that's really cool.
It's awesome. That's probably one of the greatest. I mean, I always say it's one of the greatest feelings, but I mean, that one is massive right there. You've been a part of it. It's just, it's great to know that you get to help people, like really help people. We've, this last year, all of us helped raise money to pipe oxygen directly into these hospice rooms at their hospice facility. So that's a great feeling knowing that we did that, brother.
I had an aunt that was in that care, and luckily it was a nice facility, and but I understand there's some of the few that get overlooked. When you get to that age, you get forgotten about. You're not a child. People don't think they need to take care of you, but in reality, you're almost more vulnerable than a child, and
absolutely, yeah.
Instead of being on the verge of life, you're on the opposite end. And so in my opinion, I think that they're some of the most underappreciated individuals on the planet, those in hospice care. So what you do for that is amazing. I actually worked for hospice for a long time, and it was really rewarding. I got to do all the gardening, and I served them dinner, lunch, breakfast, and I got to know a lot of them. That was hard. That was also really rewarding. I lost a lot of I would consider friends,
Oh yeah.
But it was cool to see them get the care that they needed, and individuals like you doing stuff like that is wonderful for this world.
I worked at hospice for 3 years. And Headlocks for Hospice was an idea I came up with, mopping floors and fixing stuff around the hospice. Yes. And at the time CSW was around, I had seen a couple of posters for him, and that was when I was like, man, wouldn't it be cool if there was an event called Headlocks for Hospice?
So cool. That's like, you weren't involved, you had just seen the posters for CSW. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, so, and that was the first thing I did when I took over CSW. The very first thing I did, I said, I'm doing an event called Headlocks for Hospice. We're going to do a fundraising event. We pulled off the first, and as far as I know, still the only professional wrestling telethon in history. I've had people search. Good old JV has helped me search. We could not find anything, but we did a 15-hour telethon for the very first Headlocks for Hospice.
Where was it broadcast?
It was at a place called Corner Pocket. It doesn't exist anymore. And this was in the middle of the pandemic. It was June 2020 when we did this. We found all the regulations, which were very tough. They told us we could only have 50 people in there. We're like, well, we're not going to raise any money with 50 people. So why don't we break it into blocks, 3 blocks, and just do a full day event, And in each block, we could put 50 people in there. So, make the most out of nothing is what we did. And I mean, we had 3 networks there. We broadcasting when we did it. It was huge.
That's awesome. That's really cool, man. CSW seems to have like a path that you guys have been on. It seems like a lot. I mean, every show you guys do Roots Heroes stuff, that's a big part of what you do. Go ahead and explain that. How did Roots Heroes come about?
Oh, man, that's such a near one to my heart.
I'll tell you, I was gonna find it all.
Yeah,
I know.
Well,
I got that one. That was in my pocket. I've been holding it.
Roots Heroes, it started by we had a child, Christian Moody. Okay, he would come to all my events. He'd been coming since Rudapalooza 2. And just I love this kid. He's so amazing. His family's so amazing. Yeah. So I decided a few years ago to surprise him for his birthday that I would have a CSW championship belt made with his name on it. And I did it. We presented it to, actually, he pinned someone in the ring and won the title. So, he won his belt. And it was such a great feeling that I wanted to do it again. Okay. So then we fast forward a year later and we had Jaden the Lion Lucero. Anyone in the Colorado wrestling scene knows the Lion. We all know Jaden Lucero and his dad Waylon. They're amazing people. They travel all over the state of Colorado to try to support every wrestling show they possibly can. That's awesome. That's really cool. So he got the second belt, and it still didn't have a name. It was just me doing something good for the kids, because they deserve it. These special needs children, to them, we are their heroes. We are invincible in their eyes, and they deserve to have that same feeling as far as I'm concerned. So then we fast forwarded to the next one, which was our amazing fan, Izzy. We see her at every CSW show. She's a huge Johnny Crash fan.
Aren't we all?
Aren't we all? Let's be honest, okay?
Let's be honest. We all love Crash Daddy.
I'm the dumbass years ago who thought I could turn Crash Hill, and it didn't. There was nothing we could do that would make the crowd boo him. But that's okay. I love Crash Daddy, but so we got Izzy involved, and then at this point, the parents of these children asked me if I would be okay with them calling it Rude's Heroes. And I was so humbled and honored. That is one of the most distinguished things I've ever had in my entire life, if not the most. And then this last year at Headlocks for Hospice, we got to add Fabian, Fabian Lobato, the Star Crusher, got to come up there and get his belt. There's another one of the amazing families that are just fans of every company in the state of Colorado is the Lobato family.
I love that name, Star Crusher. What a name! Yeah. That's so good. Yeah.
Star Crusher Sean Solo. He.
Someone needs to make a luchador mask for it. I mean, that's awesome.
I like that idea. I think Sean would probably flip out over that too. But and that's my heroes right there. That's the group of kids. I do everything I can for any of the kids out there. To be honest, we do a lot of stuff at the minor league baseball stadium here in town. We just got set up with Hellscream, the local haunted attraction. We're going to be doing live wrestling with them in October.
Wait, what's the dates? Because that's I'm
October 8th, live right out front of Hellscream. We will be there.
I'm assuming you need me there, right?
I would need you there if I didn't need you there, if we're going to be perfectly honest, brother. That's going to be fun. But every month for the birthday kids, we let all the kids that have a birthday that month get in the ring with us so we can sing happy birthday to them.
Yes.
It's because that's what it really comes down to is those
100%.
The kid. We were all that kid at one point in time that was mesmerized by professional wrestling. And you got to remember that every once in a while.
Yeah. I was a big time fan growing up. I don't know who your heroes were, but I grew up during the Hogan, Warrior. I was a big Owen Hart fan, so when I lost him, that was really hard on me as a kid. That was
Owen was one of the greatest heels out there. Obviously, I'm a pretty massive Rick Rude fan.
Yeah.
Spent my entire life loving Rick Rude. God, he was so good at pissing people off. He just naturally could do it. It was wonderful.
Really
But
good.
obviously Hogan.
Same.
Hogan was one of the big ones, if not the biggest. Macho was, or depending on what time era or what years you asked me, it was one or the other. A lot of love for Warrior, but he beat Hogan in WrestleMania, so that'll always be a thorn in my side. First fist fight I ever got in with my brother TC was WrestleMania 6. Yep.
No, over Hogan Warrior.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
We were two little boys. Tell me that
story. Yeah, fill us in.
Two little boys. My dad ordered it for us on pay-per-view. We had all our friends over watching it, and the room was literally split in the middle. Like there was the Hogan side and the Warrior side, and my brother was sitting here and I was sitting here. And when Warrior beat him, I tackled my brother and just started swinging because he was talking so much shit. And, totally worth the grounding.
Yeah, totally.
I stand by it. Hogan should have won, but I love Warrior too. Don't get me wrong. There was plenty of times I was cheering for the Warrior, just not that night.
Yeah. That was a fun era of wrestling. It got a little silly, but I think still even when at the silly peak, like for me, I think I was about 5, 6, 7 or something. Dr. Isaac Yankem I was terrified of him. I'm sure people much older than me were, who is this? Why? But
yeah,
it did its job for the young generation, like I think it was supposed to.
If you look at it through a 8-year-old's eyes, a crazed dentist that just wants to rip your teeth out with no numbing line, or just wants to touch your teeth, that's scary shit.
And then his teeth are all like jacked up. It's like, oh no, what's going on? Yeah. That was a fun time.
Oh yeah.
What do you got planned going? Do you have any I know that this is the season for festivals. So we got any festival stuff coming up for CSW, or do we just got the TC Tribute, Eddie Havens match?
Well, September's the TC Tribute, October's Slam Bash, the birthday of CSW. We've got the Hell Scream thing we're going to be doing as well.
Yeah.
I'm in works now to possibly doing another fundraiser for a school down in Pueblo. Okay. We did one last year, and we raised over $7,500 to send a middle school to Washington, D.C. On a field trip. A lot of kids that wouldn't have got to go on a field trip. So I'm me, anything I can do to be part of the community, I'm going to do it. So you never know where you're going to see Randy Root.
Oh yeah, I know. Well, the funny story. Okay, so the first time that we'd actually ever met was at Slave to the Death match, I believe 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We were outside the watering bowl. You were talking to somebody. I came up and I saw your NWO tattoo, and I said, "Oh, sweet NWO tattoo." And I must have set my drink down, and those tables at the watering bowl were dog shit, right?
Yep.
And my drink just spilled over, and you just looked at me and just walked away. And I was like, "No, I did it. I ruined it all. It's all done." Look at us now, buddy. It's pretty funny.
I know, brother. That's how this world works, man.
Yeah, they always, it's funny to look back on stuff like that. But you do a lot of stuff outside of wrestling too. It's not just wrestling, man. And I talked a little bit about this with Eric Angel last week. Burlesque. You and Eric Angel had, he met through that kind of. But how did you find your way, and what's your path into burlesque? I mean, you were just in New Orleans.
I just
a week ago.
No, I just landed back from New Orleans yesterday. The boss lady, my wife and I, she got into burlesque. She's always been a huge fan of burlesque, and then eventually she got the courage to get involved. And huge shout out to Eric Angel for helping kind of lead that path.
Oh, yeah.
I got nothing but love for Eric, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
So anyway, she got into it. I was just supporting her, just being a good husband, supporting her, living her dream, just like she was doing for me. Uh, then I started really getting into it, and I started really liking it, and I wanted to produce. I was like, I'd like to
Yeah.
produce some shows. I mean, I do pretty good at the wrestling thing. Maybe I'll be all right at producing burlesque.
Oh yeah.
Uh, that ended up turning into what was supposed to be a birthday present for my wife and nothing else. I had set up a surprise act, a dance on for her birthday. Romeo Uncaged and I worked on it quietly under the radar, and we did it to surprise her and apparently everybody else, because they went, freaking ridiculously nuts for it.
Oh yeah.
But then I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna be honest, like that was a lot of fun, and it's just become another major part of my life. Is just this burlesque community. I just got to go to New Orleans. I got to perform at the Always Lounge in the French Quarters. Like,
That's cool.
I mean, it. I
Like,
got
just from my understanding, is it like a booking in wrestling? Like they reach out to you, like, hey, can you come down?
Well, this show's a little different. It's something that Romeo he came up with. It's a parody on the show Bridgerton from Netflix, with also the show Harlots. And
Yeah.
it's just this comedy twist that we got a cast put together. It's an amazing cast. We've traveled all over Colorado already doing it, and Romeo got us booked in New Orleans, and the whole cast went out there to do the show.
Wow, that's amazing. So it's almost, I mean, on that level, I mean, burlesque is a little risque, but on that level, it's almost like a traveling play act, or like a traveling
Absolutely.
like Broadway type act. Like, that's amazing. That's so cool.
It was packed house both nights. To be able to say I performed at a cabaret in the French Quarters, on Friday and Saturday night, it don't get much better than that.
Where, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, that's where a lot of this started, right? Was in that area.
Oh yeah,
The burlesque art. As far as like America, like is where it really blossomed.
That is
I guess
definitely one of the hearts of cabaret.
Yeah, there we go.
You think New Orleans, you think the French Quarter, you definitely think of cabaret.
Yeah.
It's just part of it, So I mean, it was wild. It was a great experience. To be able to say I got to dance on stage with my wife, because we actually do a duet on this show.
That's cool.
Singing?
You guys sing?
No, dancing.
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't know, like, duet, I guess in my head. I think.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you guys were singing alongside the dancing. I was like, wow, this is
dancing is one thing, but I don't think I mean, yes, I do have I do have 10 albums out, but they're definitely not what you call like harmonious albums, if you would.
Yeah.
I love them, but
Hey, man.
So then that's what I was saying. I just love entertaining.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how. If I can entertain the fans, I'm going to do it. And I will put my heart and soul into whatever it is I'm doing.
What, I mean, you brought it up, but talk about your music career, or, the 10 albums that you've put out, I mean, let's plug that a little bit, Well, people, what's the name of the band? What's the, genre of music?
It's Randy Rude. Yeah, my first album was 2006. It was called The Rude Awakening. Then I got signed with Abandon Records, and I released 9 albums in 2 years. Just went nuts recording, and just started touring and performing. I mean, I was on stages all over the place. It was a blast. It was a really great. I headlined a show. We got really gutsy and did it in Canyon City. And if you don't know, Canyon City is a very small mountain town. If you get 50 people at an event in Canyon City, that's a packed show. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just the way the town is. It's small. And I went to school up there, so the newspaper put a big old article in that I was returning, and it was called the Scrub Hop Homecoming. And we sold almost 400 tickets to this concert, and
Damn, boy.
it was one of the most wild moments of my life. When I walked on that stage and hearing 400 people chanting Randy Rude.
Yeah.
Like, that was, what a memory,
That's, it sounds like you've done quite a bit, man, from music to wrestling to burlesque, but I think that
I
music
was a
career had to have been
gunfighter,
something that was, something.
I was a performer in a Western town, did gunfighting, 7 shows a
Really?
day, 6 days a week. I was the guy they
That's
hung every day at high noon.
no, that's
Ab-
so cool.
Oh yeah.
Where?
It was a place called Buckskin Joe. It was up in Canyon City. It doesn't
Huh.
exist, or it does exist, but the guy who bought all the buildings moved them to California. Don't know why, but you're talking a town where John Wayne and Sam Elliott and Tom Selleck and all these Western legends filmed movies at this place. Uh, there's a very rare movie. I don't know how South Park savvy you are,
Oh yeah, I
but
love it.
there's a very rare college movie they did called Cannibal the Musical. Uh, Almost the entire movie was filmed at Buckskin Joe. And as a matter of fact,
Really?
the noose that they hung Trey Parker with in the movie is the exact same noose they used to hang me with 6 days a week.
Really? That's
Yep.
so wild.
And
What?
so if you ever get a
Damn, you
chance,
really are an entertainer at heart. Did you do any like in high school? Did you do theater, or were you more pursuing like music at that point, or?
I was more pursuing women in high school.
Yeah, my guy, my guy, hell yeah.
I mean, I was a dad at 16, brother. I've been raising
Oh
kids
shit.
since I
Okay.
was a kid. Uh,
Yeah.
you know, uh, but no, it was more music in high school.
Yeah.
Originally, that was what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a musician. I play bass guitar and a lot of wind instruments, drums. I'm decent on the drums, but songwriting was my big thing.
Oh yeah.
Uh, I I'll actually give you the very, very first like Easter egg hint. But Randy Root is working on the 11th album right now.
Let's go. That's so
Uh,
fucking cool.
I haven't released any music since 2013.
Yo, that's fucking
So
amazing.
the
What gave you the bug? What like
I,
I
you
want to
know,
do it.
I just I was sitting there thinking about it, and it's like so much has happened in the last 10 years in my life that maybe I need to release an album about it, you know.
Yeah.
Uh my older stuff, I was really pissed off. Like a lot. So, I'm not as mad anymore. I kind of like things in life. And a lot of the album's going to be related to burlesque and professional wrestling.
That's
The
cool.
album is actually going to be called Glitter Crash, which is a
Oh, I
burlesque
like that.
term.
Yeah.
It's basically the day after a huge show. Wrestlers feel the same thing. We just don't really have a term for it. But that day after a big show, you're exhausted. You're
Yeah.
you're crashed.
It's
You just want to sit on a couch and do nothing.
absolutely zero. I love that terminology, the glitter crash. We
Yeah,
got to have something like that in wrestling. We got to come up with something like that for the wrestling world, because you're right. Even from a production standpoint, the wrestlers go out there, they do their hard 15, and they bust their ass. I understand,
absolutely.
man. The even standing in the back and running back and forth and changing cameras or
It
directing, or
wears you
it's
out.
where completely. It
Wears
is
you
a
out.
wild time. Yeah, pro
But it's
wrestling.
also addicting because
Completely addicting.
that roar,
Hmm.
the sound of cheers.
Yeah.
There's no drug out there that will give you that feeling right there.
Yeah, you're completely true. Right on that. It's a very true statement. and from the production standpoint, I get to be a part of every match in that facet, so and then doing commentary too for a few companies. I'm a part of every moment, which is so special. It's something like, the boys that go out there, they have their match and they get back in the back and they discuss the match. I get to be out there and watch the entire thing, but from a different standpoint other than a fan. I'm like, look at how good they just did. They're doing it. They're doing what they meant to do right. And it's so fulfilling for me, like I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. Hey, absolutely. I mean, I'm wearing an NWO shirt, Wolfpack shirt right now. Wrestling is my life, as is for you, I believe. But I'll let you get back to your life, and we'll run back Randy Rude Sweet Spot 2, maybe in like a month or two.
Hey, I'm always happy to be on the show for you, brother. I mean, we will, pretty soon here, we're going to be talking about Combat and Cabaret. So we need a whole nother episode about that one right there.
Yeah, that one's going to be fun. I'm down. And I would like to do, I would like to get a few more people from the history of CSW. I'm going to be doing a saga episode. Mm-hmm. I'd like to do a CSW episode where we cover CSW all encompassed. We get old match cards. We discuss like the best matches, which I can play here on the screen and we can talk about them, and do a roundtable thing with some other people and, your choice.
That sounds like a blast to me, brother. It sounds great.
I appreciate you being on here, Randy, and spending your time with me, dude. It was a blast. I'll be seeing you September 23rd.
That's right. September 23rd, CSW. Sunshine Studios Live.
If you guys haven't got your tickets, go ahead. CSW up over there. Check them out on Facebook, Twitter. You got TikTok. I'm sure you got all the social medias probably running for CSW.
Yeah. Facebook, Twitter. Yeah. Check out our YouTube channel, which
there you go.
My brother right here helps set up for us. Him and Vernola work their butts off on that one. So check us out, man. We're everywhere.
Yeah, CSW Saturday nights on YouTube. If you want to check out some live CSW action, you can also go follow Springs into Action. They also have a long-standing YouTube channel that covers all CSW. But thank you all for joining us. Randy, I'm going to let you get out here, brother. I appreciate you again. I'll be seeing you soon, brother.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you and all of our Indian pals for joining me, Rockin' Week Sweets, here on a Sweet Spot. Hope you enjoyed this evening's podcast. I really did. CSW is a wonderful part of my existence. I'm really proud to be a part of the CSW brand. Go ahead and check them out. They're huge within the Springs. If you're here in Colorado, do your thing. Buy them tickets for the TC Tribute, Eddie Heyman's Memorial. It's going to be a great show. I'm going to leave you guys with a little bit of brand action. I'm Rockin' Week Sweets. Has been the Sweet Spot. Have a good one.
SeatGeek is the ticketing app for fans like the high five strangers guy.